first real haul in top German brass surrendered to General Collins. We had an old-fashioned 4th of July with fireworks for Adolf. And even a few speeches. The French are a funny people. They celebrate their 4th of July on the 14th and they call it Bastille Day. Bonjour, merci beaucoup, come see, come ça. Now, this French lingo is a snap. But GI shoes just weren't made for dancing. And so we started out again. There's always got to be one life of the party. Sometimes it's a good thing. This party was what they called the Battle of the Hedgerows. Miles around. But it wasn't our idea of a good time. There was always a hedgerow behind you and one up ahead. And when you cleared the very last one, there'd be another one waiting. No, it wasn't our idea of a good time. Sometimes there were breaks. They might even last a day or two when you could almost forget burp guns, 88s, and snipers. Almost. But not quite. Not if you had any brains under your iron hat. Church was where you made it. And religion meant more to men who believed. I guess that was because we never knew what might be coming up next. What was coming up next? Well, this time it would be Saint-Lô. There would be an artillery barrage. Like marching with us, there was the same old routine for those fellas every time they set up. Maybe hours getting ready to fire 5 rounds, and all the while staying put in one spot, like clay pigeons. After the guns, armor and men going forward. Then edging into the town itself. always holding on, but not for long. And the Air Force coming in to hammer them loose from above. Trying to hang on to mounds of rubble and piles of wreckage. It'll be a good try, but only a try. Then Finis, and Saint-Lô added to that list of smashed villages and towns. Saint-Lô stopped being used, and it was Patton. Patton and his armor breaking out and running wild. The Third Army moving on wheels and tracks to join the Canadian 1st and British 2nd at the Calais Trap. Us? We went on like before, using foot power. Someday I'm going to round me up some tank men. I'll let them pound shoe leather while I sit by and hand out the wisecracks. We'll see how they get along on a few lightning minutes for a break and a smoke, and then up on their feet again. That's what it was for us. We marched, mixed it up with the Heinies, then marched some more. We marched clear across France, marched right into Paris. Then we had a parade. Paris had been liberated, and Leclerc's men were still cleaning up the Boche who hadn't moved out fast enough. It was like a hometown welcome along the Champs-Élysées. There were ceremonies and speeches. The town was yours and everything was on the house. Just the place to settle down for a good time and a little rest. But no, we kept right on marching, right through the city and out again. Oh, my aching foot. There were other GI shoes pounding the French roads now. After a surprise Mediterranean landing, the 7th Army, fresh from action in Italy, had swept up the valley of the Rhone. Lyon had been liberated. For us, there were more towns with names you couldn't pronounce, and that all looked alike. Each one had to be taken first. And that's why they all came to us. Jerry was beginning to lose his taste for war. We could tell by the way he began coming in bigger groups, and minus some of his cockiness. He was taking a clouting wherever he stood to fight. where he tried to run away. He was learning how it feels to be on the receiving end, and he didn't like it. There was one batch of 20,000 gave up, along with all their equipment. That wasn't a bad day's work. Between jobs, we kept right on marching. France was behind us, and we were in Belgium, in Luxembourg, and in Holland. You could even hear that old line coming to life again. Home by Christmas. The enemy was folding, and you were beginning to get a bang out of this hero stuff. In fact, it was doggone nice. That's not all that was nice. Camp shows and lovelies from back home were catching up with us. Thought so too. Bing came over and lots of others. It made us feel even closer to the end and to home. Ike and Monty had come around and everybody knew something big was cooking. Maybe that knockout punch. Something big was an airborne invasion. Like civilians in the world outside, we held our breaths and waited for the news. The bridge at Nijmegan and the other 2 points of a triangle bounded by Arnhem and Eindhoven would give us a hold on the Rhine and the country beyond. The link-up of the British and General Dempsey's men, the defense of the Arnhem pocket, would become history. It was a hard one to lose, and it pulled us up short. Heine hadn't thrown in his chips yet. There was good news to the south. For the first time, a major German city was getting its taste of battle. Assault by artillery and from the air was going to do for Aachen what had been done to all those little French towns and villages. come to Germany. It had stopped being a newspaper story about other people's homes. Because it was home, the Krauts held on and fought back, and we, who had been marching, went into the town to tear them out. Tore them out, and that took care of Aachen. The refugees looked like all the others we had seen. Maybe some of us even felt a little sorry for them, because we didn't know then a lot of things we were going to learn later. After that, it was Metz, and a lot of towns just as hard to pronounce as those in France, and just as beat up. Then we came to Siegfried. It was slow going, but it could be done. We used new tools and new weapons, and we gave them the rocket treatment. Lots of Nazis decided life could be beautiful on the other side of those launchers. It was up to us again. And so we put the Siegfried behind us and started on again, deeper into Germany.